No, I'm looking at. I thought I was looking at your current live. I'm looking at your live from 13 days ago.
Oh, watching us
Here we
play
go. Live.
little Lego Batman.
There. That's the current one. Okay, there we go.
That is a great live stream, though. I do love me some Lego Batman.
I was like, it's amazing how far the delay is. You're just standing there. Your voice is coming out.
I'm just that talented. What can I say?
Well, you're good at throwing a voice. Ventriloquism is what it's all about.
Oh, you know what? You know. Just call me the
Mhm.
ventriloquist dummy. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna put that there. Overlay you there. All right.
Ah,
Hello. Oh, thank you for the. I see your comment there. Hey, Ryan. We got 4 people in watching already.
I should probably promote this somewhere, shouldn't I?
Sure.
How do I do
I
that?
will also share it on my Twitter. Hey, Dave. I haven't seen it yet. Hopefully soon. Hey, David. All right. I just shared it on Twitter. Hey, Lucid. All right. The usual crews coming on in. It's gonna be a fun stream for everyone today. We're gonna be talking about something
I'm
totally
always down
different.
for it.
Yeah. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat, you guys. But first, we're gonna get into this and explain it to you guys. But we'll wait. We'll wait a little bit longer for a couple more people to pile in. Great to see you as always, Lucid.
Mm.
Let me just make sure it's good on my end on the phone as well. Oh yeah, that's looking clean. Just got back from the pool. Very nice. That's perfect weather for it. Have you done any summer retreat, Kevin?
I haven't yet, but I guess I will be. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
I guess I will be in a few weeks because I'll be in San Diego. You're going to be there too, no?
I'm gonna be there too.
Yeah.
On Twitch, what's going on, Xavier? How are you? Yeah, we're doing the dual stream. We got Twitch and YouTube open,
And me. Wait.
and
Hmm.
he's open. We're all open.
Let's see.
Oh yeah, people piling in now. Yeah. Oh, hold on. That should be better. Is that better, chat?
Sounds like you had some static there.
Yeah.
And All right, I think I'm all set.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, there we go.
Sounds like it's some static there.
Yeah, that should be good. And then let me raise it a bit up over here as well. All right, we should be all set, good to go.
All right, I think I'm all set.
All right, so let me know whenever you're ready. We can jump on into it.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. I guess we'll start with an introduction of you, as well as what NIGHTAXE is, and what we give us a little tidbit on that.
All right. Well, I'm me. Well, my name's Kevin Garcia. I am a professional writer. I've been a writer for way too long. I worked for Marvel Comics for 10 years as a writer and researcher, so I got paid by Disney to read comic books. And now I make stuff for other companies and sometimes myself. NIGHTAXE and Golden Girl is a book I'm working on out of my own heart.
Taking a selfie, sorry. For the screen.
Yeah.
That way we can push it on the IG.
I need to find a way to get this screen up higher. Yeah. I'll work on that next time.
Yeah. We're making it work.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jamie, we got to meet at a convention a while back, and I've worked with different people in terms of voice actors on stage and stuff, and I've also, worked at a lot of Comic-Cons. But I really loved the conversation we had about PAR. I was really excited about that, and you were telling me about that. And I think actually I did tell you a little bit about this one then too. I think.
Yeah. Yep.
Because sitting next to me was the guy doing the main cover for this, which is Roberto Rivera Padre, and we were already talking about it, so I was definitely excited.
So we can go over a little bit, because I want to show everyone just kind of what this is. This looks amazing, by the way, for everyone who's interested. This is a huge upcoming comic book. Based off of, if I remember right, they're based off of original heroes from a time before, but we're reinventing them in a modern age.
I've been the last book I did on my own, because I also do stuff for other people. The last book I did on my own, World's War Comics, was one that was a story I've been working on for a while, and I was just going to have generic heroes. And I thought to myself, it was a story about history, so the characters should have history. And I just kind of fell in love with the idea that you could read a brand new comic book, but if you wanted to, you could go back and read older adventures related to it. So I figured, let's do that again. So for NIGHTAXE, I've got two different kind of origins, I guess, for the originals, which is there's a 1945 comic called Golden Lad, and then the 5th issue has Golden Girl as well. And there is a 100-year-old story of a headless creature called the NIGHTAXE in Mexico. And I'm kind of tying them together into one goofy story, I guess. I won't call it that goofy, but like these two look like superheroes. But can't stress enough they are not superheroes. At least they don't see themselves that way, even though they do help people with their powers. Like for example, NIGHTAXE is a 7-foot-tall guy with no head and a flaming golden statue where his head should be, and he makes his living as an Uber driver. So just imagine this guy comes to your door to pick you up or drop off your groceries.
That would be awesome, actually. I would love that. I think that'd be sick.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. In fact, I think if you scroll down, you can see the opening pages of the book. I think I've got a couple of them on there. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Actually, you can click. Let's see the pages. You can click it.
Just click on the pages. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
It kicks right out of it. Yeah, zoom in on that if you can. Maybe zoom in the screen there.
I know I can. Let me see here. Here, I think. Yep.
So the original legend of the NIGHTAXE is this. All right. Imagine you are walking through the forest of Mexico at night, as you should not be doing, and you hear this thumping, this horrible sound that sounds like wood being chopped, hence the name NIGHTAXE. It's just boom, 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 boom. Let me ask you, Jamie, what would you do?
I would lock my door.
Well, no, you are in the middle of the forest.
Oh, in the forest.
Yes.
I'd probably investigate. I'd probably see what's making the noise.
Fair enough. And I'll be honest with you, whatever you do at this point, it doesn't matter, because it will still appear before you, but then you have your real choice.
Yeah.
So appearing before you now is a giant headless man who just rips open his chest, and in the middle of it you see the beating heart, and that's that sound you've been hearing echoing through the forest. Now, What do you do at this moment?
Run, probably.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry, you're first. I've actually told this story to people, and I've only had a few people actually give the right answer. And I'm kind of curious in the chat. You are encountered by a giant headless creature in the Mexican forest at night, rips open his chest, puts his open heart before you. What do you do? And I'm kind of curious. Let's do it real quick.
Yeah.
Anybody got any thoughts?
Yeah, that's a good question, Chad. If you're wandering around the forest and you hear this thudding sound, what would you do? Would you go towards it? Would you run from it? And if you do see this big headless guy, what would you do then? Would you run up to him? Would you try to investigate with him? Or would you run away? Let's see what Chad has to say.
Now, I've had different answers. I think people say run away, fight it, hide, you know, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting as people are thinking about their answers is this creature, again called the NIGHTAXE in English, Yawatzapotle, I don't speak Nahuatl very well at all. I speak slightly worse than my Spanish, which is also pretty bad. But it's said to be an avatar of the god Tezcatlipoca. And Tezcatlipoca is basically, imagine if Loki was Odin. That's who this guy is. He is the creator god, the most powerful god, but he's also a trickster who can be kind of wicked sometimes. All right, so we've got here.
Run away. That's a good answer. Here,
run away, obviously. So yeah, you hear a thudding in the forest, and this giant headless creature appears before you. What do you do?
I'm gonna try to see if I can.
I'm curious because I've only had a few people just randomly give me the right answer. I was at Comic Palooza recently, and the first one to give me the right answer was a 10-year-old boy, and I was like, "Hey, all right, well, okay, good."
Yeah.
Oh.
Probably, I would do. So, Banana Moon says that she would probably investigate it, but she would do it carefully.
Fair enough. All right. So the correct answer is you grab the heart, and then you don't let go until it agrees to grant you wishes. Basically, if you grab the heart, you hold on to it. You basically got that creature trapped, and you will bargain, basically. Yeah. And I don't really know how you hear its voice, but you do. It doesn't have a mouth.
Yeah.
And when I say grant wishes, it's not like going to give you a car or something, but it will do things like you'll find love, or you will get success in life, or you'll become rich, or you'll become a great warrior. Those kind of like existential things. And each wish that comes true is represented by one thorn put in your hand.
Yeah.
All right. So with that in mind, these are the opening 2 pages of the book. We have this dude just sitting here at his sofa watching TV. That cartoon, by the way, is also a public domain comic book, because I read too many of these things. And he hears boom, 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 getting louder and louder. He goes to his door. He opens it, and there is this giant headless creature. And he says, "I have come for you." And he says, "What? What? I'm your driver. You ordered it?" I meant to cancel that. Oh man, they're gonna ding me if you don't cancel it officially. Could you make sure you do that? Otherwise, I'm gonna get docked. Thanks, man. Hey, I saw your profile pic. I thought it was a joke. Yeah, man. Me too. And that's the first 3 pages of the book.
And I like this character. This character reminds me so much of the Los Caballeros a little bit.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. I think he predates them a little bit. When did that come out? Let me look that up. This guy's name is Senor Tamale, which sounds like he'd be a dumb character, but I've read a lot of really offensive stereotypes of Mexican and Latin American characters from the 1940s. And this one's actually a good one. He's basically like a Mexican Bugs Bunny. The fact that he's Mexican is just kind of matter of fact. It rarely actually factors into the plot, but he is. Let's see. Disney Tres Caballeros is...
Yeah, Liam in chat was also said, he said, I was going to say the Three Caballeros.
Yeah, so this is 1944. So this guy definitely predates. I have to go back to my notes to see what year he comes out, because there's not really anything about him online. That's the trouble, is I tend to go with things online that nobody's got sources for, because they're just that weird, I guess.
Yeah.
I bring up my notes on him. But yeah, Senor Tamale here, he's basically Bugs Bunny. Every one of his schemes is always a way to get rich quick, and it usually backfires in one way or another. But I just thought it'd be fun to have a nod that means something to nobody but me, I guess. I do plan to do some videos once I get my equipment working. Sounds like my mic's working now, so that's
mic's working great.
Yeah. So I plan to do some videos about these guys. So my next video is going to be about Golden Lad and Golden Girl, which we'll get to in a second.
Yes.
My next video is going to be about that. But I do plan to do one later about Senor Tamale as well before we actually publish.
Senor Tamale.
Yeah. And what's weird is the artist kept putting the little tilde on the Enya on a different letter in every issue he was in with the title. He's always sometimes over the O, sometimes over the R, and I was like, I don't think they know how that works.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, they were not offensive. There's one of his like 10 or so adventures where there is like one panel that has an offensive stereotype of Pacific Islanders, which was also very common at that time period. But that one didn't seem to have the original creator, so I'm gonna say there's that. But he's also in some text stories, and in the text stories, whoever wrote them was making a big effort of trying to teach kids about Mexican culture, to the point that he says a tamale is kind of like a Mexican cake, which is, you know what, close enough.
Yeah.
Let's see, where is that one?
I even love the design of his beak. It's very more rounded as opposed to like an outward bill.
Yeah, so a red-capped parrot is a really common parrot on the eastern toward the central coast of Mexico. And about 30, 40 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, somebody released a whole bunch of them in South Texas. Now they're all over South Texas as well. And so I grew up on the border of Texas and Mexico, and I just constantly saw these guys all the time. So when I saw that red-capped parrot, I was like, oh, cool, that's us. Let's see, where is this guy originally from? Let me look him up real quick. He is from... Oh, in the wrong list. There we go.
Oh, someone in chat Banana Moon in chat just asked, what inspired NIGHTAXE and Golden Girl?
All right, well, so a couple of different things. I just looked up, it's 1946, so I guess he is technically after Tres Caballeros, so that's too bad. I didn't think he was before. All right, so what inspired it was a couple things. Number one is the story of Golden Lad and Golden Girl, which I'll get to in a second. And the other one is I really wanted to tell a story that had somebody who was, well, a couple different stories. I want to have somebody who's kind of a monster, but that's not really a factor to him. Like, he's not like Ben Grimm early on being depressed. Like, he's a little bit sad that he looks like this, but not like it's a driving thing on him. People don't run in fear. In theory, this is a world in which superheroes exist. They're like, dude with a big flaming head, not robbing a bank. Okay, and they keep walking. You know, so having him just be an average dude who just happens to look at that is fun. Another thing I really wanted to do was tell a story, kind of like, so I'm third generation Mexican American, and obviously I look very white. And the thing is that growing up in Brownsville, I was often, you know, too white, too Mexican. And then when I would go visit family in Kansas, I'd meet people there that, believe it or not, look at me and thought I was too Mexican, which they meant as an insult, but I was like, wow, you recognize I'm Mexican, cool, thanks.
Yeah.
But well, that's kind of an extreme case. There's that idea of it's kind of diaspora of Latinos, where it's like kind of separated from culture, both in the U.S. from the country, and then even in those other countries from the parent cultures that came before the Spaniards got there. You know, and again, that's not for everybody. There's some areas of Mexico and other countries, for example, that are still very connected to their indigenous roots, but like it's different everywhere. You know, Costa Rica and Argentina, for example, that you don't see very many people that Costa Rica, you don't see very many people at all that look indigenous, and then Costa Rica, they kind of, or Argentina rather, they tried to socially wipe a lot of that out. So it's kind of a thing.
Oh no.
So the idea of these characters is that I wanted them to be kind of learning about their culture as they go by. You know, I plan, like, this is a one-shot comic. I plan to do other one-shot comics later on. It's not like you don't need to wait for the next issue to read it, but like the idea is as the story goes on, they learn more about their cultural history. And so that brings me back to Golden Lad and Golden Girl. You want to scroll to that one where
Yes.
it says go up to meet the characters. I think it's under that one. And then scroll down a bit till you see the 1940s pictures.
Which this is an awesome backstory, you guys, about how these characters got created and how
NIGHTAXE. That guy's fun. We'll get to him in a minute.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Shark guy is still my. Here
There
we
go. What came before? So those two guys. So Golden Lad is and I'm literally making a video about it right now, working on it. but the trouble is I'm trying to do YouTube videos now, so TikTok videos are always like 5 to 10 minutes for me.
Yeah.
But with YouTube, I have more time, and it's like the more I learn, the more I realize there is more to say. But on the surface, Golden Lad is a Superman knockoff who gets his Superman level powers from dead Mexicans. Like that's literally his origin. So the origin was during the Spanish conquest. There was a good conquistador, which sounds like a contradiction to a lot of people, but there was a good conquistador. In fact, the idea is that he's so good that he was actually killed by the other conquistadors for being good. But he saw them throwing Aztec people, which by the way, if anybody brings it up, Aztec is a term that's been used by historians, but was used at that time as well, and refers to kind of the collection of people that are part of the Triple Alliance that lived in central Mexico, in Tenochtitlan, but led by the Mexica people, who are Nahuatl speakers. Anyway, so he took Aztec people and threw them into a vat of boiling gold that was gold stolen from the Aztecs. And the good conquistador tried to stop them, and they kill him. But before he dies, he gets some of that gold to the Aztec rebels, and they make a heart out of it. And that heart is going to be able to give powers to somebody. And for reasons, it doesn't get used for 500 years. And then the kid gets it. And then he's like, wow, that's important. Well, the Aztecs would want me to save people, so I do. And the thing is, the comic is amazingly progressive for 1945, right? He's going after trying to help out disenfranchised groups. He's repeatedly telling people that you should not be going after people for color or religion. And he goes, it's 1945, so he's going after what are essentially neo-fascists, people coming after World War II is over, trying to continue that thought, or people that are racist in the U.S. that are not necessarily connected to Nazis, but also actual former Nazis. And I would say there's more that I find the more I look into it. I just read an unpublished story that would have been issue 6 of this, and in that issue, the main character and his grandfather are taking in homeless veterans and others because, well, they have nowhere else to go, and then trying to help them get a place. And one of the people that they find a home for is an interracial couple. They don't make a deal out of it. It's just she is drawn wearing clothing that makes you know this is a Asian woman and the guy's white. So that's not something you'd normally see in 1945.
Yep.
It was very progressive at the time, but no Mexicans after the origin. So I really loved the idea of this like Superman level powers, but I really wanted to give them to actual Latinos. In the last published issue of Golden Lad, there is a second story, not by the original. By the way, the original creator of it is also the guy who created Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, the first ever Jungle Girl comic, although he doesn't get credit for it, which is weird to me. He's also the guy that basically trained Steve Ditko, the guy that made Spider-Man. Apparently, he convinced John Romita Sr. to go get a job at Marvel in a weird way. Carmine Infantino, the guy that redesigned the Flash, Barry Allen, the red suit Flash, he did his drawings very much, obviously following after the creator of Golden Lad's drawings of speedsters, but he doesn't admit that. So he's very influential, but most people, I think, outside of comic book historians, haven't heard of Mort Meskin,
Yeah.
So I found all that very interesting.
How often would you say that your characters speak Spanish in the story? How often would you say that?
The two main characters are going to speak a little bit of Spanglish, where they'll be occasionally have a full sentence or two in Spanish, but these are both two, I say kids, they're in their 20s, I'm just old. Two kids in their 20s that grew up in the States. So Spanish doesn't come up a lot unless they're speaking to other people who speak Spanish primarily. And that's kind of, like I said, I'm third generation, and I'm kind of treating NIGHTAXE here as being like, well, maybe even further than that as I get their ancestry in. But in fact, I think it's important for me that Golden Girl here is Afro-Latina. She's Blaxican, I guess. There's colorism is a big part of Mexican cultures, just like it is in other cultures, to the point that, like, I would date a Latina girl, and her parents would say in Spanish to her, "Oh, congratulations, mate, that you're dating a good one." I'm like, just because of my skin color. And like and then I'd have cousins that were much darker, and they'd be like, "Hi, pobrecito." And it's like, it was important to me to have a hero who was Afro Latino. So, and it's not like with Miles Morales, they're like, well, it's because he's half Latino and half black, and it's like, you could be black and Latino. You don't have to have an origin for that. That's just your history. And so that's what she is. I got lost on the train of thought. Where was I going with this?
We're Spanish in the comic.
Yeah, Spanish in the comic. Yeah. So where I was going with that is she probably uses a little bit more Spanish than he does. In that she'll probably use more complete sentences than he does. But like with me, my Spanish is horrible. A couple things that my fiance pointed out is that I didn't realize until recently. My English syntax is often done with a Spanish grammar phrasing, which I didn't really realize because I grew up on the border and that's just the way it came out. But also I will throw in Spanish words every once in a while without even realizing I'm doing it, because it's just what's there.
Yeah.
This is very much, I talk about representation a lot. I really love the current White Tiger at Marvel. I really dislike the original White Tiger at Marvel. Even though he was drawn originally by Puerto Rican George Perez, but the writers were not writing great. And one thing you'd have a lot of back in the day would be like, they'd say a line in Spanish and they'd say the same exact line in English. That's not great. Or then you'll have others that will just throw in every other word in Spanish.
Yeah.
I saw a TikTok video the other day that was making fun of that idea. I'm trying to keep it just to where it actually makes sense to me. And then I have other friends of mine that are basically reading through it for me to make sure that I'm doing things correctly. Like, I'm not black, but my fiance will go through it and make sure that Golden Girl is properly represented in that sense.
Yeah.
And then my friends from Mexico will go through the Spanish usage and other things and be like, well, okay, this makes sense. I think this should be a bit like, for example, there was one where I was using a pet name in Spanish for them, and my friend's like, no, don't use this, use this. And I was like, okay. I honestly that hadn't occurred to me, and it's just he grew up in Mexico, and it's just a more common phrase. So it made sense.
Yeah, because I remember hearing that being a big complaint for many people over the years about the use of Spanglish and the use of because people would they really would do exactly what you're saying, and it became a big meme of people using Spanish every other word into a point where it almost doesn't make sense. And I remember I have friends who speak Spanish, and they said it would be very they would say cringe or something like that. But
definitely that. And I'm trying to avoid that.
I'm going to rephrase your question, Banana Moon. But someone asked, if there's any LGBTQIA+ representation in your story?
So there will be. There isn't in this issue. So what I did is I made one 22-page story, and then I just had so much fun with it. I'm like, I want to do more, and then I ended up having two friends of mine make two backup stories that are 8 pages each. One is starring NIGHTAXE solo, and the other one starring Golden Girl solo. But the first issue is mainly an introduction. I'm skipping an origin. Like, we're not getting how they got their powers. We can assume they both got their powers about a year ago. In fact, they met on the day they got their powers, so she's never known him with a head. And he's fine with having no head, as he's been dating her since then. So he's like, cool, I can be with her. And they will be. I do want to at least address some of the like social issues and stuff that affect, especially Latino communities, lightly. It's not going to be the main plot, although I do want to do more of that later.
Yeah.
But I've already designed like who are their best friends. I already designed a couple characters that I'm like, these characters need to be their best friends, but I don't want them to have already known them, so I'll introduce them later. And I also want to have characters. In fact, in my previous book, World's War Comics, it didn't come up in the story because there was no reason for it to in that issue, but I'm working on the second issue and it will come up. Several of the main characters are LGBT. But for these two, because the story is mainly focusing on the two of them, I'm not really getting a lot of their life outside of just this. The first 20 pages is basically one date they're going on, essentially.
Like their intimate relationship, basically.
Basically. And then the two individual ones are then going on a solo I won't call it a mission.
Yeah.
I guess it is for one of them, because they don't see themselves as superheroes, even though they look like that. You know, she, for example, she's literally a magical girl. In the original stories of Golden Lad, he would say, "Heart of gold, make me Golden Lad," and there'd be and literally the narration would say, "A rainbow show of light, blinding light comes out, and a light swirl around." He's a magical girl.
Yeah.
He's 100% a 1945 magical girl. So basically, she's going to lean into that. She's going to have a whole transformation sequence. And he's like, "Are you done yet?" So she's like, "No, I'm enjoying this." Because, like, look, if you could do a magical girl transformation sequence, wouldn't you?
Their original designs remind me a lot of the Wonder Twins from
Yes.
Super Friends.
Well, it's interesting that they showed up. They were Golden Girl. The original one was only in one issue, and she never actually met Golden Lad. And in the last page of her story, Golden Lad in his civilian identity is reading the newspaper, and he's like, "Who is this other person?" And then there's never another issue. So, but anyway, she mainly used her powers to. She got like Superman level powers, and she used them to go flying around and see things. You know, fly through the hill country of Texas, fly through, over the ocean, just see, travel around the world in a few minutes because she can. It's fun. Now, mind you, if anybody is ever in front of them that needs help,
yeah,
they will help. You know, there's no question about it. They just don't consider that their main activity.
I know you were talking a little bit about how she's close to Superman level powers. And I know, because I know this is still the first issue. Have you ever thought about power scaling and how that works in your universe? And
yeah, that's the thing. So when I was at Marvel, my main job was to be part of the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, where we'd have to actually quantify, how powerful is a character, what is their strength level, and all this kind of stuff. And on that note, these two are supposed to be basically, Superboy, Supergirl level powers, maybe like a base level Hulk, which is a lot. But he is constantly afraid of hurting anybody or anything, so he doesn't like using his strength a lot. And B, she, because she's mainly been just enjoying herself, neither one of them have really explored how much they can do with their powers. So in theory, they should be doing things like what Golden Lad can do, which is carry an entire house by exactly one corner, which makes no physical sense, or burst through the wall of a submarine several 100 feet under the surface of the ocean, which again, that's a lot of power.
Yeah.
And also move so fast that he could, that he literally looks like a blur that no one else can see. So she could, in theory, do all those things too. She's just not really pushed herself yet to do that.
I see.
But again, it's not because they don't see themselves as superheroes, and yet monsters and villains and other things will throw themselves at them anyway. They don't really realize what they can do so much, if that makes sense. Golden Lad, I mentioned, he has Superman level powers. The basic stuff: flight. I already mentioned the super strength, speed, bulletproof, obviously. But he, in one issue, can see through walls, because why not?
Yeah.
And in that same issue, he has a super brain that, when he transforms, allows him to figure out a riddle, which also kind of ties in the plot here. They never show any kind of laser powers with him. For some reason, whenever I'd show people drawings, they would have her shooting lasers out of her hand. She doesn't have that, nor does she have laser eyes. But I decided that since the heart around her neck and the heart of his head are the keys to their powers, that's where it comes from. So she's going to have a blast of green fire that comes out of her necklace.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I say fire, it's not a hot fire. It's definitely a magical fire, but I get into why it's significant in the story. That's a major plot point that I it's one of those funny things that people are like, well, I don't want to give spoilers. You've never read these characters before, so there's nothing to spoil.
Yeah.
But that is one thing I don't want to get into until the book is out, because that is extremely significant, what that fire means.
It's big to her character. It's big to how it carries on in the story, I'm sure.
It's big to history.
I'm very excited to see what happens when they get pushed to their limits, and what they do when they're backed up against that kind of a wall. Because, like you said, they themselves don't really know the limits or the extent of their own powers. So I'm really curious to see what'll happen.
In the two backup stories, they're both going to be pushed to their mental limits. Like they may not be stressed in terms of the level of their power, but both in their restraint in terms of using it. So, which now I
Interesting.
think about it, them being pushed while not being with the other, that actually kind of not intentional, but interesting.
Yeah.
Because in the main story, they are working together the entire time, you know. But in the two side stories, it's only one character, only one of these two main characters ever. So,
Oh, I see.
yeah. In fact, if you scroll down,
Yeah, let's see.
I think I don't know if I have pictures of it yet. I think I might. See, go down. Well, if you go to keep going down, keep going down. Let's see what we got here. Oh wait, go back up. I want to mention somebody real quick.
Him?
Go back. Look, we'll get back to him. Go up higher. Stop right there.
Okay.
We need to talk about this guy for a second. I'm talking about the other thing. So, again, I don't need to use public domain Golden Age stuff for stories, but it's fun to have a history to it, and it's really fun when you suddenly find the most perfect character you could ever need. So
He looks like Red Skull a little bit.
yeah, well, yes, and you could tell the name he went by back then was Satan, although I'm calling him Satanico, which basically means satanic. So
Yeah. Satan.
But he is just a cackling villain that appears in I think 4 issues in the four is number 4 there. It's 4 issues in the 1940s, early 40s, and in every issue he fights somebody different. So sometimes he fights superheroes, sometimes he fights normal people. In one issue he fights an evil version of himself, even though he's already evil. And he's every panel like, I'm going to do this, and he's just like cackling villain. It's ridiculous. In the first issue, he calls his friend Adolf. Hey, Adolf, you better do what I'm saying, or else he. The thing is, he's not a devil. He's not a demon of any sort.
Yeah.
His origin, he's a conquistador who was cursed 500 years ago to be an immortal guy that cannot die and yet looks like this. Like he's tried to kill himself for 500 years. So he's very much insane.
Wow.
And the idea that he is so perfectly suited to this story, which ties to the conquest of Mexico, and the fact that he's a goofball idiot, makes it perfect.
I love.
So I'm like,
I love that premise, because I saw there was a horror Fruit Gushers like movie that came out recently where that was a similar kind of thing where it was like a very meta thing where like the characters on the set, as they ate a Fruit Gusher, you know, in the commercial their head gets big. Well, it actually affected them in real life too, and they had to live with this giant deformed head. So it's funny how the story is very similar. How he's deformed and he has to live with it. And he's tried to kill himself and it doesn't work, and so it's like he's really pushed to his own mental limits in a way of like, well, I cannot escape this no matter what.
And I say he's evil. He is responsible for a lot of death in those 4 issues. But when I say responsible, it's more like he facilitates acts of terrorism and then laughs about it, but then he kills the terrorists, like afterwards. And they're like, why are you doing this? Because I can't trust you either. Dead, you know? And I'm like, okay. In fact, he only actually kills one person directly himself. And it's because this is score 1 for Satan bit is where it's from. He's competing with another evil version of himself, which again, I don't even ask. They don't explain it either. But
what's his other name?
Natas.
Oh, okay. Satan versus Natas.
It gets together directly, right?
That's
Natas.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're competing. Who can be more evil? And like the one evil thing this guy does directly is, you won a peace prize for being amazingly nice, right? And the guy's like, yes. Then I will strangle you. Ha! 1 for Satan. And that's like the only thing that he does directly himself. Everything else he tries to get somebody else to do evil, which works or doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, he's just so perfect in that he's cacklingly evil and yet incompetent, that he's perfect for this story. And now you want to go to that shark guy. I'll give you that guy.
I believe he was
It's down.
Oh, he was down. Okay.
The other way. Yeah.
There he is, right there.
Yeah, before I tell you about that guy, scroll down a little bit more to the next picture. And we got these guys. Okay. So, as I've been explaining to people, the monsters in this first issue are based on Spanish colonial misinterpretations of indigenous Nahua stories. So, essentially, Spaniard priests were asking the Nahua people what the creatures are that live in the area. And so they'd list them off for them. And the Spaniards would write them down and then write down the translations of the names, and then somebody would draw them. So that one on the bottom, literally translates to jaguar fish.
Is it because of the
And
spots?
and they drew him as a jaguar fish.
That's awesome.
The one on top is a butterfly fish, and it's modern interpretations believe that was probably intended to be a stingray. All right, so this is interesting, and it's funny because you look for you see online lists of like cryptids and stuff, and they'll list a couple of these guys as if it's like an ancient legend, but really, this was just ways they would describe creatures. And what's interesting too is that in the descriptions of these creatures, some of them are entirely, well, not based in reality. For example, where's my book? Here we go. Dragon League. I wrote this book. This is officially licensed with the Dragon League wrestler. But I made sure all the monsters in here were pre-Columbian. And there's one in particular that I like that's also in the same list of animals. There's this little guy right here, if you can see that. Where is that? Oh, there's my camera. I had it.
Right there.
There it is. Yeah. You see that little guy?
Looks
So
like it looks like a lemur
one.
almost.
He kind of like a lemur or a dog or a raccoon or a possum maybe. But what's important is, well, as with the other story, this one also begins in the forest at night. But instead of hearing a knocking, you hear a baby crying. So you go to investigate. And then you see this cute little furry creature. And you might lean down to look at it. And that's when you find out that on its tail, it has a monkey's hand. And it grabs you and pulls you underwater. And that's the obvious result. Basically, a water, I can't remember what it translates to. Water dog? That's not right. But anyway, so that's one of the creatures that's in this list. So that one doesn't seem to be based in reality. I find that to just be straight up a Pokemon. So I have the kids adopt one. And somebody asked, well, isn't it going to try to drag them underwater? I'm like, well, your dog will kill you too if you don't feed it.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, so all that to say this. One of the creatures that's in this list is described as, well, having giant claws that could tear things apart on its hands and feet, a tail so big that when it swings it could knock down trees, a jaw so big that it could swallow a man whole. And the Spanish go, that's a sawfish. And I'm like, that doesn't, what?
Yeah.
So scroll up,
okay.
And then you get to see Miguel drew a picture. Miguel's the main artist for the book. He drew a picture of the sawfish.
This is right here?
Yep. I can say the name. Sapakli is basically just crocodile or alligator, crocodile for this region. So Asipakli is basically water crocodile, which they're already in the water. I guess they mean ocean crocodile, maybe.
Probably.
Yeah, and so it is a sawfish creature. And so while the Spaniards, weirdly enough, even though they drew a lot of the animals looking like that, when they drew this character, they literally just drew a swordfish. But I'm like, no, he is based on the description. So yeah, that guy's based on the description of the aspect.
He looks like if not lizard, a killer croc, but like instead of it being a crocodile, he looks like a killer shark. That's what his design reminds me of.
You know what? 100%. Although most people tell me street sharks, and I'm like, yeah.
Street sharks. Oh man, that brings me back.
Yeah. In fact, I think I even put that in my notes for the artist. Like, look at street sharks.
Yeah. Is he gonna have like a uniform, or he's gonna be mostly like, I don't want to say naked. Naked. Okay.
Nope, he's naked.
Yeah.
In fact, if you go down to the covers, let's see, what was it? Roberto, who did the main cover for me, he did. He was asking me, he's drawing it. He's like, wait, what's he wearing? I'm like, nothing. He goes, can he have nipples? I'm like, yes, he has nipples. So there he is.
Oh, there's the nipple in question right there.
Yep. No, I was like, he's got nipples.
I love this. I love this. Everything about this artwork. I love the cityscape.
Oh yeah.
You said it takes place in San Antonio. Can you talk a little bit about that and why you wanted it set there?
So somebody told me this is insulting San Antonio, but I disagree. I tell people that when I describe it, San Antonio is basically as close as you can get to a real life Gotham City. Like, because you have, you do it this way. If you go through, say, just cities in Texas, right? Austin is a very modern city. There's a lot of like glass skyscrapers and stuff, and then of course there's the Capitol in the center. You go to say Houston, and Houston's very industrial, but the downtown has a lot of these like sky bridges connecting buildings. Which is a very neat thing. A lot of that. But San Antonio has changed very little since the 1950s in terms of the skyline. Right, there's like one building of glass that sticks up. All the rest are like jazz era or around that time. So you got buildings from the 1920s and 30s. They're all stone buildings. They got gargoyles on them. There's multiple buildings that have that. There's the hotel that I'd stayed at the time, the Menger Hotel, was built 20 years after the Battle of the Alamo, and it's still in operation.
Yeah.
It's said to be one of the most haunted places in Texas, and sure, I've actually stayed in the room where Captain King died. He was the founder of the King Ranch, which, if you know Texas history, it's like the biggest ranch cooperative in Texas. It cuts like a whole chunk of the state.
Wow.
And the guy that founded that, patriarch of that family, loved staying at that hotel and actually died in that room. And so I've stayed in that room a couple times. It's fun.
Wow.
And so there's just so much history here. In fact, I knew a guy that was a state historian that made sure that Brownsville would be listed as one of the most historic states in Texas. Brownsville, where I'm originally from, the border. And he said Brownsville's number 2 after San Antonio, because there's just so much history there that is like, you can do so much with it. So I've been sending, like Miguel, the artist, he's from Mexico, Veracruz. He's been through the town. He's not really seen a lot. So I've been sending him tons of pictures. I spent my first 5 or so years growing up in San Antonio, but I go there all the time. And I just love the visuals of the city, you know?
Yeah.
And so to me, I could have just had a fictional city, or I could just made it New York, but you know, I wanted to have this. Again, I'm already reading these guys in history, real folklore and real comic book history. Why not give it real cities?
Yeah,
in fact, even their car, which only shows up in a couple panels anyway, has history. I did a design of it. Let's see here.
Is it on the Kickstarter?
It is not. It's going to be. If I send you a picture on Discord, can you share that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me try that out. I'm gonna. Oh wait. Can I be on Discord or more than one computer? Or is that going to kick me out of this one?
I think you should be able to, because I can do it on my phone and on my computer.
All right. Let's see. Okay. Any. Here we go. Let's see. Wave to Jamie. All right, here we go. I'm just gonna send it to you via Discord. How about that?
Yeah.
Upload a file. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Pop an app out of the way. Because it was important to me. Like I have overly designed this stuff because I just had so much fun with it. It's way too much fun. So even if something never comes up, I know it's in the background, and I know it's something that like it means something.
I love the design of his hands here. They remind me of very Genndy Tartakovsky, the way he draws his fingers.
Oh yeah, that's Mickey. He's doing the NIGHTAXE solo story, and he and I have talked about maybe doing World's War Comics part 2.
Really?
So I'm actually looking forward to that. Deep files, that's not looking for. Kickstarter, here it is. Model sheet. It's not there. Where is it? Let me just find it.
Yeah, guys, this is a awesome Kickstarter that's currently going on. I still have the Kickstarter pinned in the chat for anyone who wants to click on it themselves. Check it out. There's tons of cool perks you guys can take a look at. And
there, I just sent it to you right now.
Sure. Oh, there we go.
This is not AI. I don't use any AI anywhere in this comic or anything about the making of it. This is my Photoshop of several photos put together. But yeah, so Mexico had an iconic green taxi cab fleet for decades. It just ended like maybe 10 years ago, and they were all just Volkswagen Beetles that were green and had white tops. And to me, it was just so iconic of Mexico that I thought it'd be neat to have that as their car. And then, you know, he's a giant guy, so it'd be kind of hard for him to get down into a car, so I had to make it a bigger car. And to make it even easier, I turned the top into a convertible.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's an amazing touch.
So basically, the concept is that they've got one of those old taxis, and they fixed it up, and that since he's NIGHTAXE, she calls it their night bug.
Which is, they have the convertible down in this shot down here, I believe. In the
Yes, and then in the issue where it shows up in one panel, he's got the convertible up. So
I love how she's almost getting, like, not crushed, but like he's definitely putting weight on her, and she's still like trying to lift
See,
him up
the
while
thing is,
steering the steering wheel with their foot here. It's so amazing.
in terms of strength levels, if you're going to compare them to Superman, I would compare Buckley to Doomsday. But again,
Really?
yeah, but neither of them really, and also personality-wise. Like think about not current Doomsday, but like first Doomsday, where he's just like Metropolis.
Yeah.
You know, that version of Doomsday, who was also would have been naked except they put shorts on him. So again, these guys probably could easily fight them off if they really thought about it, but they're not used to big superhero battles.
I'm gonna type some more questions in chat.
Sure.
Just to see if we can get any more questions in here. Guys, just one more time. Well, we're gonna do this a couple more times throughout the stream, but
Sure, I don't mind.
This is the Kickstarter. Let me see if I can find some of the perks. I think actually it's on.
Oh yeah, you go to click where it says rewards at the top.
Oh yep, here we go.
Very top. Yep.
So you guys can get a. I think there's a regular pledge of just submitting a donation. I believe for like anything below $5. But if you do submit a $5 donation,
like you're just helping out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's funny. I always joke that I'm a horrible backer because I back a lot of projects, but I don't usually ask for the physical stuff. I just want artists to create stuff.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
So I believe here for the $5 one, this is the digital version of the first issue, I believe. That's correct.
Yep. And I'm gonna throw the digital in with pretty much everything.
Incredible. Then that's yeah. Here we go. This is the cover A. You would get for $10, and this is this is a physical you would get, correct?
Physical, and then also access to the digital.
Oh, yep. There we go. There. Look at that.
Yeah.
This is the comic. I'm assuming physical plus stickers. Is that correct?
Yes. And I'm probably going to add some more stickers in there, but I can only put what I had so far in terms of creating the Kickstarter. I did find out something that came out wrong. If you can't see it there, but it says www.NIGHTAXE.com. Turns out the www doesn't really work very well. But yes, I own NIGHTAXE.com, and it goes here. And I also own NIGHTAXE and GoldenGirl.com, and it goes here.
Oh, it just goes straight to the Kickstarter?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Whenever I have an idea that I said, I know I'm going to make this, I buy the Kickstarter. I buy the URL.
That's a good idea.
Like this is like a brainstorming idea, but down it's fine. But if I'm like, all right, moving forward, buying this before I even announce it.
Then this is the secondary cover you can get, which has got an homage. Go ahead.
Fish Lee is a really cool guy. He goes by Mr. Fish online. If anybody wants to follow him on some of the socials, he's really cool, and he's really willing to talk to people about how to make comics and how to design things and really how to become an indie creator. And he offered to do this cover for me. And since he's good at doing like the traditional heroes and stuff, I said, let's have him do the original Golden Lad and Golden Girl in the background while these two are kind of replacing them. And kind of did a little mini homage to Giant Size X-Men, which I heard somebody saying recently, certain covers are too often homage. And yeah, but I think when it's thematically appropriate, it's cool. And also, this isn't like a tracing of it, like they're not in the same pose or anything. It's just thematically. I mean, you could argue it's also an homage to the first Robin appearance too. So.
Oh yeah, and I saw recently they were Absolute Batman did another homage to Akira, the Akira classic Akira poster.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's another one. Mm-hmm. You know, I want to say something about this cover. You can't read it. Actually, you can in the other part, but I'm not going to go back to it. But I wanted to put, for whatever reason, I put some like 90s style like promo stuff on it. So it's like first issue collector's item, out of the Golden Age and into the now. Now I didn't create it or anything, but I was the researcher for the trade for this Now More book, and I just love that the very first issue on the cover it says out of the depths and into the 90s, and I'm just like, that's just so of its time.
Yeah. Out of the depths and into the 90s.
Yep. And then if you go down, we got the cute one by Mexicowai. Mexicowai, you can check her out. Did you see her the spelling of her username right there, Mexicowai Art, which I love as a pun, because Mexica is the people that the word Mexico comes from, and then kawaii, anybody knows anime.
Yeah, it's cute.
So she does really cute kind of chibi art, mostly inspired by Mexican culture, which I really love. And so I asked you to do a cover for me, and it's a really adorable cover. And I was kind of going back and forth on using it, but my fiance's like, you have to use it. They're so cute. I'm like, all right. But since it's kind of anime inspired, you can't read it there, but the tagline says, that time I lost my head to an Aztec curse and my heart to the girl next door. And I was like, it just feels right. That actually, I'm not gonna lie, that tagline came from Fish Lee, the guy that did the other cover.
Mm-hmm.
But when he said it, I was like, I need to use that somewhere. So it's on that cover.
I love how so basically it's these two, cover B and C. You would get the alternate cover either by Mexico Y or Mr. Fish, and you would also get the digital edition, which is the and the digital edition for every single purchase of it is the black and white version of cover A, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have artists right now working on cover D. There will be a fourth cover. When it's ready to be announced, I will put it up there. And then when I do, I'm going to make another collection that's going to be all of them together.
Awesome.
And if you scroll down to where there, click on the side where it says merch. Yeah. Aside from the stickers, I'm also making some pins. I don't know why. I just really love enamel pins lately, so I've been picking them up. And I figured, why not make them in scale with each other?
Of course.
So I got that.
That's awesome.
As a stretch goal, I really, I could make more pins. So like I'm thinking about making. I've already designed a vector drawing version of that score one for Satan panel because it's hilarious. And I've also worked on a vector drawing version of the two fish creatures that were in that old drawing. So I could make pins of those, which you don't have to be a fan of NIGHTAXE and Golden Girl to get those pins. But in order to afford that, I kind of need to make stretch goals and stuff. So we'll see how it goes.
I think the enamel pin idea is great, and I love how you can, like, even though this is just a drawing, you can definitely see like the enamel pin.
Well,
like...
that's the mock-up from the company who's printing them.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, NIGHTAXE enamel pins should arrive hopefully this week or next. And then the same thing. Oh, that's what stickers. I'm reprinting. Some of the stickers have www on them. The newer ones are going to not have www because that just didn't work. Elia Maria Madrid she goes by Spiced Illustrations, and she is great. She's one of the co-hosts on the podcast I'm part of, called My Primos Podcast, which is pop culture from a Latino perspective. We try to look at movies, comics, video games, all that stuff. And she also does her own drawings. It's really, really cute. She's like, "Can I draw them?" I was like, "Yes." So she did adorable drawings, you see, of NIGHTAXE and Golden Girl, and then Asipakli and Satanico. And when she drew, she was doing a sketch, and she did them like that. Like I said originally, he should be wearing robes or something, and I was like, you know what? Leave the briefs. It just feels right.
Yeah. He's got the cheeks hanging out.
Yeah. And so those are adorable.
And then these are the...
Oh, and then the other thing I'm doing is, I do want to talk about this for a quick second, is that I am, right now, there's currently ones where you can get the original cover A and some of these, and also as add-ons, all of those extra covers are there. These are for the World War comics that I mentioned previous, that I did in 2004. I actually intended to do more comics in 2005, but personal stuff I was not able to create that year. But although that is when Dragon League came out. But I have four covers for this, and so those are available. However, Teoat is something that's the first Kickstarter comic I did, and I am never reprinting it, nor do I sell it online. So when I run out of copies of this, they're gone forever. I've got maybe 20 copies left, so I'm putting 10 on this one as available if anybody wants to buy the package that comes with this. They're not add-ons, they're only with that package. So this is a story that takes place before the founding of Tenochtitlan, and my goal is, one of these days I'm going to get a new artist and the editor and everything, and then have a full, instead of individual issues, a graphic novel that tells the story of the founding of the Aztec Empire, and so that the last chapter would be when they find the eagle on the cactus, because so much happened before that people don't usually talk about, but I really want to put into a comic. So that I have available 10 copies of that.
I got
ask, these two.
How does somebody get? Because I see this to be part of the comic. What does somebody have to do to get this one?
It occurred to me that aside from Satanico and the monsters and stuff, there are two people that NIGHTAXE visits that are just regular customers, and I was like, why not just sell those names? Now, obviously, this page has already been drawn, so it's unlikely that we'd change it. I will say, I don't have it with me right now. I will say Miguel is really good at doing not characters, but portraits. But can't guarantee that right now. Maybe next issue, if I plan that ahead at a time, that'll be fun. But for now, I'm saying, look, if you want him to say your name as that guy or as the woman that he visits in a different page, then you're just a regular person who had NIGHTAXE deliver stuff to your door or come to pick you up either way. And so just for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, and again, the idea of redrawing it, unlikely to happen. It'd be a lot of work, and I don't think we have the time or budget for that. But at least your name will be part of history.
Yeah, absolutely. I still think that's
Literally,
awesome.
literally, even if it's not your face, you'd be the very first person in the story
Yeah.
of NIGHTAXE that appears to me. That's page 1. And then I put a little asterisk on there, so this is not literally true. And then I put here, NIGHTAXE promotes you, and that's just I did ads in the World War Comics one. That came up pretty good, so I figured I'll do that again. It was fun. Where is it here? Yeah, I pretty much make the ads myself. You just tell me what you want me to make, and I'll make it for you, that kind of thing. Unless you already have something in mind. That being said, also in World War Comics, I had a fan art section. And I've already had somebody ask me, if you want fan art, I'd love to have fan art, and that'd be really cool. I posted on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm planning to post it soon on, actually no, I also posted on TikTok, a bunch of pictures done by several friends of mine, including Elia Maria there and some others, of NIGHTAXE and Golden Girl, to see other people's versions of it. I love the whole draw it in your style trend. I'd love to see other people's art on these characters.
Yes, yeah, I love that too. I love to just let people who have their own unique style just kind of cook, their own art. Like it's phenomenal. See what they do.
I'm talking about stretch goals there. Also in World War Comics, after the story ends, I have history on the characters, like actual real world history, not just my own head canon history. Like this is actual, like where these characters came from, where you can read their original stories, that kind of stuff. I have the making of the book, that kind of thing, and the making of the covers as well. So I like the idea of having that extra stuff. That would be kind of a stretch goal. We can get more in there, Obviously, I need to make the goal first, but like that would be the goal.
So I see the stretch goals here, and I see 10,000 is more comics. What kind of more merch aside from enamel pins and stickers do you think that you would be interested in getting?
So number one, there will be definitely easily made more enamel pins and stickers. But number two, one thing I talked about is, and you can see it if you go to the updates page there, update number 2, I think. I think there's 3 now. Let's see. The designing one. Put the designing one, the green one.
Okay.
So I have here. That's the original Golden Girl. The one in the middle, by the way, is an unpublished Golden Girl story, where she has a slightly different costume. But I'm basing hers mainly on the original costume. Just honestly, it's silly to have that little diamond thing on the belly, and it's silly that her cape comes directly from her neck. But I'm like, you know what? Let's lean into that, but modernize it a bit, and scroll down a bit there.
Okay.
Got a little bit of Golden Lad in her costume as well. Oh, here we go. This is I don't draw enough to have a full comic, at least not consistently enough. But that's my art right there. And then the pendant is.
That's a super cool pendant.
Yeah, let me get my book out here. Which one is it? Where is it? Here it is. No, that's not it. I got a bunch of books. Oh, there it's this one. I got so many books on my language. Okay, so basically, got glyphs here, and that glyph is a stylized version of art, or all in all Maya. And I say stylized version because it depends on the writer and the time period or whatever, but it has all the elements of that thing. So that's art in a Maya glyph. That is what's around her neck right there.
I'm going to rephrase your question, Salty Juice Water, because I know he's got a lot of stuff back there. What is your favorite book you have on your collection in your shelf in the back?
Huh. That's a good question. So it depends on the topic. It's hard for me to say of all things. So, for example, these here pretty much are all Mesoamerica, also Andean cultures and that thing, and a little bit of Amazonian cultures as well. There's languages, and there's histories, and there's first-hand accounts, and there's codexes that are a lot of fun. And then sometimes I'll have personal ones. Where's that one here? This one. This one is, I actually just bought this one recently, and I was like, what, they actually have it? This is a book about an early 20th century Mexican-American legend, I guess, cultural hero who was a real person who was killed. And I basically, this book kind of put Brownsville on the map, and the guy who wrote it, so I was surprised about that. That's cool. In terms of comic books, I got recently, I say recently, right toward the end of the pandemic, I got rid of thousands of comics because I just didn't have room anymore. So I did that. So I still kept some. The oldest book I have a book that's 3 years younger than the Constitution.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it's not here though right now. I have these things which are fun. This is what I like to call young adult fiction of the early 20th century. There's a series of books that were just like kid adventures. This one's a kid adventure. In fact, this book series made somebody a millionaire.
Oh
So
wow.
Tom Swift is an inventor, and every book was like a different thing he invented. Like this one's Tom Swift and his wireless message. Well, one of the books is called Tom Swift and his electric rifle, and it's about a gun that he invents, a rifle that he can shoot you with, and it's electricity, but it doesn't kill you. It just knocks you out, unconscious, essentially.
I see.
And somebody read that as a kid, grew up to be a scientist, and was like, wait a minute, I could build that, and did. And he called it the Tom Swift electric rifle, the Tisser. And then he added an A. So it became the Taser.
Taser. Ah, okay, yeah. I was like, is my spelling right on that? Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
So that's kind of neat. And then, so the reason we're going through the update, because I was getting distracted by that.
Yes.
But toward the bottom, there's a 3D model made by my friend, Josh Valletta, of, keep going a bit more, there's that guy. There you go. Keep going. There it is.
This one
So I
here?
got a 3D model of NIGHTAXE's head, and I really do like the idea of making 3D prints of the head. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
It would also be expensive in terms of shipping, I've been assured. I'm not really good at figuring that stuff out, so I have my friends kind of help me with that bit.
Right.
But it would be cool. I'd love to have little NIGHTAXE heads, you know?
That is awesome. What? Let's see. Is that?
I do want to point out very specifically, if you look at the head there, that thing in the middle, that's a circle, that's not technically his eye. It looks like an eye, but this is, if you scroll up a little bit, based on the real world statue called the Heart of Copilco. And that is basically an Aztec sculpture that is meant to be a heart. So if we think about the heart that we think of today, that's a European design.
That's why he thuds when he's. Is that one of the reasons why you think he thuds?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So basically, the way I'm doing the story is the golden heart of Golden Lad was designed by Mexican people, so it would look like this. It wouldn't look like a European heart. And in the story of the NIGHTAXE, the heart inside is, in this case, going to be the golden heart. So instead of being inside his chest, floating above his head, or floating above his neck, rather, where his head would be.
Yeah.
And so if you scroll down, that circle in the middle there is not an eye. It's like an aorta that's been cut. But it looks like an eye.
And it gets treated as one. Like he's looking over here. He's making like an angry face. Yeah, he's like relaxed here. Annoyed, looks like.
Exactly.
Also kind of annoyed. Yeah, happy. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you scroll down, since he doesn't have a heart in his chest, he rips open his chest, and there is just a cavity there with glowing green fire, which again is important to the plot.
Reminds me of the Batman Beyond villain a little bit.
I don't wait. Which one? Oh, the guy, the skull guy.
Yes. Someone asked, and I know you went over this a little bit before, so we don't have to go super in depth. But someone who's new to the chat asked, "Why the Latin American influence? Does Mr. Garcia take inspiration from other cultures or religions and mythics?"
Yes, I do that for other cultures and religions as well. This story, for example, World War Comics, all the characters are real characters from the 1940s, but I chose them mainly because they are very clearly meant to be other characters that are more familiar to you, probably. But kind of my Thor Wonder Woman character is Egyptian. And in the original comic that she appeared in, this is how they drew her. So that was supposed to be Northern African. And so I had to update that a bit.
Yeah.
But I tied into that lots of bits of actual Egyptian culture. So she's got a khopesh as a sword, where in the original comic she had a little dagger. She's got the scarab there as well. There's various other things
That's awesome.
that I put on there. And I put a ton of research into what each thing would mean, what it would mean to her specifically. Her name in the original story was, well, the name associated with her, it's not necessarily her name, is Kate, K-A-I-T, which, doing a little bit of research, is an actual place in prehistoric Turkey. Not prehistoric, that's not right. Well, yes, yeah, technically prehistoric. But let's say Bronze Age Turkey, a little bit earlier than that. And so I'm tying her both to that and Egypt as a kind of a regional thing for her, so I get a lot of history on that. As to why Latin America, well, number one, I am very proud of my cultural heritage, and it frustrates me a lot when it's not very prominent. You know, I have a lot of friends that were doing the DC So White campaign and the DC Blackout, and of course they've walked that back and they're still talking about it. But it's significant that there aren't a lot of Black ongoing series, none at all in DC right now, and they just canceled like the one that was in Marvel this month, which is really annoying because Storm was such a good book.
Yeah.
And then Miles Morales got canceled a while bit. I think he's gonna rebooted soon. But you know, there aren't really Latino characters that are lead characters in a lot of these books. Marvel had Ghost Rider for a bit, Nova for a bit, you know, and then I mentioned White Tiger earlier, although it never really had an ongoing, just one shots and miniseries.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when the characters are there, well, so I mentioned at the beginning of this that I'm a professional comic book historian. You know, I got paid by Disney to read comic books. In fact, I worked there before Disney did. And I read a lot of 1940s books. In fact, I read a lot of the old books there. Basically, 1800s through the 1950s is the areas that I read the most. And I get used to seeing, both in books and comics and movies of that time period, a lot of stuff that's just casual racism of the time, some of it very intentional. And I want to see those cultures better represented, basically. So, like, as an example, while this book, Golden Lad, that originally, you know, got the Golden Heart from, has Aztecs in their origin, and I mentioned earlier that Golden Lad is surprisingly progressive for 1945. The Aztecs themselves are drawn as if they are Plains nations, Native Americans. Like they're drawn as if they're from like the Plains areas, you know, because the artist, you know, he's a good artist. You know, what's the difference from one to another? And then the other thing you'll see very often is the idea that, well, maybe there's still a surviving Aztec or Maya community, but they've been unchanged for 500 years. And I'm like, why? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Why would they not have developed it all? One thing I tell people a lot, people will argue me on this, that the Mesoamerican civilizations here were as advanced technologically as the Spaniards. And people are like, no, they didn't have guns. No, they didn't have guns. They had better farming, they had better plumbing, they had better sanitation. They were better. The language and the trade went a lot stronger. So they had things that the Spaniards did not have, but they didn't have guns, or more appropriately, what killed most of them, diseases. Those diseases, anyway. So, to me, it's infuriating, the idea that what if we had a hidden Aztec or Maya community for 500 years, that they would still act and dress exactly like they did 500 years ago.
Yeah,
that makes no sense to me.
I agree.
Frustrating. That's actually why I got frustrated watching Wakanda Forever. You know, I wrote Namor's life story in Namor the First Mutant #1, and I also did a Mesoamerican comic. The idea of making Namor Mesoamerican was a great idea. I think it's fine. The original creator did not want it to be Atlantis. It wasn't until Stan Lee took over as main editor that he said, make it Atlantis. So for the first 20 years of his existence, it was just the undersea culture, because as the creator said, it could be whatever you want it to.
Yeah.
And every artist and writer since has not been consistent on what it is.
Of course.
Like, it's different every time. So make it Mesoamerican. Sure, why not? My problem is that when they show the Talocan people 500 years ago and today, there is zero difference in technology, writing, culture, and the one dude they have that has powers, they worship as a god.
Yeah.
And I really don't like that. Like, nobody goes and worships Hulk because he shows up and throws a building. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't happen. But it happens in Mesoamerica. They're going to worship him as a god.
Yeah.
You know, it frustrates me. So with that in mind, I wanted to do some comics that address that. So while World's War Comics is not about that, and the next issue will actually cover some Latino characters and themes, it's not the main premise. For this one, it's the world they live in, and the idea that the more they learn about what happened to them, where that design of the heart comes from, where the design of her heart comes from, the more they're going to learn about their cultural history. In the original comic, it was just the Aztecs. I already mentioned that her heart is Maya, so the idea is that they're going to learn about other cultures over time.
Yeah.
That's not just one group, you know. The joke a lot of Mexico right now is that when somebody decides that they've connected their ancestry, they're like, well, my ancestors were Aztec. And it's like, they could have been a lot of different cultures.
Yeah.
I know when I was a kid, I was told my great grandmother was directly descended from the Aztecs. That doesn't mean that's true. She certainly was indigenous, but like,
Yeah.
you know, um, and it's kind of like the similar situation of a lot of people in America saying, "Oh, my ancestor is a Cherokee princess." That's no.
Yeah.
But that being said, it is still part of the history of the Aztec people, but also so many other cultures. And I just like the idea, while it's not the main story, that they learn about it as they go.
So
You know?
JJ Bulldog says, beautiful art style of the characters that he has. It's really cool. And I think he's specifically talking about NIGHTAXE when he says it's like Ben 10 mixed with the Batman.
You know what's funny? That's the second time somebody said Ben 10 to me. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, yeah. It's very, especially with the shark character, you get very Forearms kind of vibes with it. Yeah,
I expected more people to say like Ghost Rider Hulk because I see that,
yeah.
but like, yeah, why not? Ben 10, sure. By the way, fun fact: you guys know Ben 10 is based on an actual early Silver Age superhero from DC.
Oh, very cool. I did not know that. Who's it based off of?
So there was a character that had a comic book called well, not a comic, I guess it was a series inside of a comic called Dial H for Hero, and he had literally a dial. This is back when phones had rotary dials, and he had a dial, and he would dial. This is my pills for the day. He would dial the letter H, and he would be able to summon the powers of a hero. And he didn't have a limit of 10 of them. In fact, he had an infinite number of heroes he turned into. Every single time be a different one. Mm-hmm. Once in a blue moon, he turned into an actual real hero like Superman or something else. But 90% of the time, it'd be like, I'm Candy Cane Man, or I'm Man. It'd just be an entirely different thing that issue, you know? Yeah. And so they just took that premise, said that's too many options, let's just make it 10. And instead of superheroes, made it aliens, and it's the exact same premise.
That's awesome. I think I remember hearing a little bit about the Dial character, but yeah. I didn't know it was a direct Ben 10.
It is 100%.
Cool.
I've not read an interview where they're like, we were starting a Dial H series and renamed it, but like it is the same. He's got the dial, he moves it. It's everything. It's just, you know.
Regal Cinemas on Twitch is asking, how old is Golden Girl?
So both of them are meant to be in their early 20s.
Okay.
So, you know, maybe anywhere between 22 and 26. I haven't really nailed it down. I should, but somewhere in that area. I guess 26 wouldn't be early 20s, but old enough to drink, I guess. But they're not teenagers. Why she calls herself Golden Girl, not Golden Woman? I asked my fiance and other people, like, well, should I just change it to Golden Woman or something? Like, no, Golden Girl just sounds better.
Yeah, it's kind of like Supergirl and Power Girl, kind of, you know.
Yeah, that's funny. You know, I think they make a comment about that in the movie Supergirl, where they're like, well, if you're an adult, why do they call you Supergirl? And I laughed in the theater, not for anything they said, but because in my head I was like, it's funny because in the comics when she grows up, she turns her name to Power Girl, so she keeps the girl part, just changes the super part, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, I think they made a similar joke in The Incredibles with Elastigirl. I think.
And for the Invisible Woman, it was a major plot point in the 80s that she was switching from Invisible Girl to Invisible Woman.
Yeah.
But
Salty Juice Water's got a number of questions here for you.
The
first one is, I think this is going to be a fun one. What would the soundtrack and score to these comics be if they ever got an animated series?
Score, I don't know, but soundtrack. Funny you should say that. I for some reason, don't ask me why. I don't need it. It's not part of the story at all. But I was like, what would be on their playlist? So I made a playlist for both of them.
Oh, very cool. I also made playlists for some of the characters in Par as well.
It's like, do we need it? No, but like, you know,
I think it adds so much to who the characters are. You know.
Powers, playlist. Here we go.
Like Par listens to a bunch of pop punk, which I think is fitting.
So for Golden Girl, I have Sia's Unstoppable, the Eels, My Beloved Monster.
Nice.
Makes sense. Also, with Sia as well, with David Guetta, Titanium. In my head, I always wanted to write a scene where Supergirl is flying through the air, listening to that, just singing the song where she's bulletproof, and then somebody shoots her because she's bulletproof. Speaking of which, La Rue, bulletproof. Moving on down, I've got X-Ray Specs, which is a punk band led by a black singer back in the early 80s. Grace Jones. You know who Grace Jones is, right? The actor and the model.
Grace Jones. What is her most notable?
Well, if you, in terms of actor, if you're watching the early Conan the Barbarian movies, and there's like a very large black woman who stands above Arnold Schwarzenegger, that's Grace Jones.
Okay.
She is an entire force of nature, and she was also a singer. I got some of her songs on here. Let's see what else. There's an artist that I become obsessed with, which also I like, is also Afro-Latina, called Mocha, but it's spelled MXKA. Really love her stuff.
Okay, very cool.
And then there's another one named Nitty Scott, who did a song called Creature. And throughout the entire song, it's the woman who considers herself the creature that's going to destroy, not the guy she's with, which I think also fits for these two. In terms of his playlist, it's what I got for him. I don't remember what I've done. Okay, another by Rule Monster, because he sees himself as a monster.
Sure.
Queens, I Want to Break Free. Let's see what I got here. Reckless Eric, Whole Wide World, just this cute song. He's very much a romantic.
Yeah.
Cake, Submarines. Oh, Submarines. Here's an indie band that I always wish would have a world be on the soundtrack. This, to me, is an indie band that should have shown up on people's soundtracks and just it never did. They're called The Submarines, and one of their songs is called Shoelaces, which has the line, "It's a hole in my heart that you fell through," which seems very appropriate here.
Yeah.
And there's another one, a song they have called "The Sun Shines at Night," and it has lines that says, "You were my beating heart." That seems very appropriate. Yeah, so I got a lot of those guys in there. Escondido is another band that I like, an indie band, and they have a song called "My Heart Is Black," or just called "Heart Is Black," and that's a really good song.
That's awesome.
So I did put that in a playlist.
Does Mr. Garcia like to travel to different countries and learn about the cultures hands-on, or would he consider it? Most prominent modern writer and vintage writer that Mr. Garcia takes inspiration from. I think that's a two-question.
Okay, well, second question I got an answer for it. First question, my day job is a high school teacher, so I have the time to do that in the summer, but not the budget. I have done some traveling over to Mexico quite a bit, although not. When I was writing the story about Tenochtitlan, I was going to go to Mexico City that summer, but it was 2020, and I don't remember why we didn't go to Mexico City that summer. That didn't happen. Anyway, I have gone to Japan, and I was there for a month as a guest of the government of Japan, part of a teacher program. And again, I spend the entire time asking people about their cultures. Whenever I go anywhere, I ask, tell me about any stories you grew up with. Tell me about, what is the meaning of this thing here? Or tell me more about it. I was a journalist before I was a teacher. I was a reporter, and I mainly did culture and feature reporting, where I'm telling people about their stories. I want to know, not just like, did this person do the crime, but I want to know, what is the community like where they live, where the victims live? I want to know about the history of everything. So yes, I love doing that. I've not done as much world travel as my students have. I have, some students in Austin that have the budget for that. But I do love that. In terms of writer that inspires me most, I don't think I have it on the shelf actually, but I do have it on my phone. So I made this cover for my phone myself. It says "Don't Panic." And I'm curious if anybody knows what book this is. It's not called "Don't Panic," obviously.
I know I definitely don't.
Oh man, for a second I thought you'd say, I know I do. Okay. So there is a book, which I suggest everybody read, called Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And it is a really great series. It's only only like 5 books. 5.5 books, I guess, depending on if you count that one. But it's a satire, sci-fi. And basically, in that series, there is a book that you can buy in space when you're traveling called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And it will tell you everything you need to know about everything. Not just like, what's the history of this culture, but also like, where can you find the best bar in Alpha Centauri, But the thing is, if you need this book, you are probably having trouble as a traveler. So on the cover, they put "Don't Panic," because they know if you're pulling this book out, you might already be panicking.
Yeah.
So they're telling you, don't panic, and then look it up, is what they're basically saying. So I have this on my phone. Every phone I've got, I've made a cover for it that says that. And it's funny, because one time I was at a convention, I was talking to a cosplayer, and then I went to pull my phone, and she looks at it and she goes, "Oh, is that so people aren't scared of you?" And I was like, "What?"
That's funny.
Like, am I that scary? I need a label?
Right.
How? But anyway, so Douglas Adams, the writer, and he's always been inspirational to me in terms of his writings. There's such a deft use of humor and again, satire, because the whole thing is basically pointing out the flaws of humanity. There's a bit where he learns about an alien. The main character is the last human alive, because the Earth got blown up in the first couple chapters. Spoilers. And he learns about an alien species where none of the people there are lizards, but they're leaders are lizards, hence the term "Take me to your lizard."
Yeah.
And every year they elect a lizard who none of the people like and can't stand. And then he says, "Well, wait, why would you vote for a lizard that you hate?" And they say, "Well, you don't want the other lizard to get elected."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Damn." Yeah, he there's a joke in one of his books that I think is written in the early '80s, where it's very clear that this evil creature that could destroy the Earth is actually Ronald Reagan, but he never actually says Ronald Reagan.
Uh-huh.
Kind of interesting. But anyway,
they followed that up with a similar question of what Latin American artists or sculptors do you take inspiration from?
Ooh, that's a good question too. Well, there's a lot actually that I would say. I just like I was saying earlier that I read a lot of books that are from the 1800s to the 1950s. When it comes to art, I mainly, and I actually don't have it here, weirdly enough, it's all in the other room. But I have a lot of art that's either pre-Columbian or designed to look pre-Columbian. There's a lot of, I like the history of it. I will say, I have to look up the name to get it correctly, but in one panel, you don't even see it because the artist only put this much space. Well, this fine, does it matter? In the script, I said that on Golden Girl's apartment wall is an artist. Let me pull that page up. There's that. Scripts. There we go. It loads. Okay. Next one down. Juan Correa. Juan Correa is an artist from the, I think, 1600s, late 1600s. But he was a black Mexican artist, which is not something you see a lot of, at least not recorded, because a lot of times they wouldn't give people credit, and especially not if you weren't European. So the idea that he got credit for that, he does these really beautiful religious paintings. She's got a painting of an angel on her wall from that art. In terms of contemporary artists, I don't have a lot right now that I can think of. But then again, my brain is on research mode right now because I've been doing too much with the old stuff that it's hard for me to think about modern stuff. That is the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I don't have a better answer for that.
No, that's okay. But I think that was a great answer.
Somebody asked me a similar question on TikTok. I did a video, and the question was, what are some good Mexican comics? And the thing is, most of the Mexican comics that I have and read are older. So like Calimán is probably the longest running Mexican superhero comic, and he's basically like Doctor Strange from Egypt, but it's a Mexican comic. Just go with it.
Yeah.
And so there's that. And then Pistolero is basically Mexican Punisher, essentially. With all those. And then I had a bunch of, obviously, luchador comics from back in the day. But I don't have a lot of contemporary ones, which is sad. Although I am getting more lately where I'm following some creators online now. But I have a lot of friends that are here in the States that are Latino Americans that are creating comics. Like, for example, give me 1 second. I got to pause for one moment.
Sure.
1 second. Sorry. Somebody dropped off a snack for me. But anyway, so I go to a lot of events that are Latino Comic Con. So, for example, in the first weekend of August, I think, I will be in Dallas for the Houston for the Texas Latino Comic Con. And I just went to the Latinx Comics Arts Festival in Modesto back in April. There's Mex American in Austin, which is in usually on the Day of the Dead or right next to it. And the thing about a lot of these Latino Comic Cons, these all the ones that I've been part of, they're free Comic Cons. Like anybody can go to them. And you don't have to like buy a ticket or anything, badge. Every once in a while we'll have like actual premiere cartoons or TV shows, but not very often, but sometimes. But we have a lot of creators there. And it's funny because I had a lot of friends that are not Hispanic, and they were like, well, we don't want to go invade your space. I'm like, no, please come. We want your money. Buy things, please. Like, why would you not? But yeah, there's a lot of Latino Comic Cons out there that have a lot of really great indie creators making a name for themselves. Again, I'll be at the one in Houston in the first week of August.
This is a fun question I think you'll love. Most creatives like to have food elements. What would be the favorite food of both characters?
That's a good question. So what's fascinating to me is, you know what street tacos are?
I love street tacos.
I do too, but I've rarely had any that taste like street tacos more than an hour away from the border. And by that I mean, it used to be back when I was a reporter, I walk right across the river because again, the very southern tip of Texas where I'm from, and I'd walk right across the river, and I would just buy tacos on the street, and they were delicious. And there's a lot of taquerias in Brownsville that have amazing tacos. I have found a few outside of the border that are decent, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I see Golden Girl is very much, like she'll like Chileno and other things, but that definitely. NIGHTAXE, however, given that he's a little bit farther from his culture history than she is, he probably would be like me and grow up on bean and cheese tacos. Basically, if you're Mexican American, bean and cheese taco is what peanut butter and jelly was to white kids. It's just every day. That's just the easy, quick thing to have.
Yeah.
That being said, he can't really eat. He doesn't have a head, and I'm still kind of like I don't have a line in this book, but I already signed up for another book. Somebody's like, "Wait a minute, how are you talking right now?" And he's like, "Don't worry about it, man. I don't know either." But like, he probably could eat.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to. But how he would eat is another issue. Definitely wouldn't just be putting food in his chest. That'd be weird.
Yeah. David Doom asked, and I think we did touch a little bit upon this before, but we can delve more into it, I suppose. What is the inspiration for it? The direct inspiration. Okay. I know there's probably golden.
Well, so a couple things. I mentioned earlier that there's the Golden Age hero called Golden Lad, which if you scroll up, you can see that. Golden Lad and Golden Girl were these characters from 1945 who were these two white blonde kids that were literally powered by, there's Golden Girl and Golden Lad a little bit lower, that were literally powered by dead Mexicans. And it sounds weird, but that's literally their origin. That Aztec people were thrown into a vat of gold, and that gold became a magic heart. Go with it. But they were very progressive despite that. But I really wanted to give these Superman level powers to actual Latinos. Part of it. Part of it was also wanting to tell a monster story where the monster is not scary or an action hero. He just happens to be a monster, and that's just what he does. Like NIGHTAXE would rather be staying at home playing Nintendo than going off and hunting down criminals in the night or something. It's not his thing. There's a secret that I can tell you. I'm not supposed to tell you, but I will. And that is, when I first started writing this, it was originally going to be a pitch to Marvel with some Marvel characters. And it was kind of funny about Satanico being the one that came up, because in the original script I had Diablo basically serving the same role as a Spaniard who had been present during the conquest. And then I just started laughing when I had a character that was just the same thing. But then I realized Marvel's not going to pick this up, and they're not going to really let me do the stuff I want to do with it. So I was like, you know what, screw it, make it my own thing. Don't need any of those serial numbers. Instead, I'm using characters and history that is, again, things that people could go on and read. If you want to right now, you could read all 5 issues of Golden Lad for free. There's a website called comicbookplus.com, and they have all the public domain comics that legally you can go read. And all 5 issues of Golden Lad are there. Not included are the public domain comics. I did find, not included are the unpublished comics, what I meant to say. Although after some digging, I found a few on archive.org, which is basically on our library. But yeah, so all that history's there. You don't need it, but I like it, and I was inspired by it. I really wanted to have these powers passed down to somebody who could learn more about the cultural meanings of those powers, essentially.
Who would Mr. Garcia in a crossover love to see his characters crossover with? Marvel, DC, El Chavo?
El Chavo. Well, Chapulín would be fun. Chapulín Colorado, it would be a lot of fun. He's the red guy with a hammer that the B guy from The Simpsons is based on. Honestly, 2 things. One, crossover with Marvel would be kind of cool. Would be like, visually Ghost Rider or something like that. Or maybe culturally somebody younger, like current Ghost Rider, or Miles or something. DC, definitely Superman and or Shazam, especially because in the original story, while I keep saying these guys had Superman powers, they would magically transform by saying a thing. So double that there. When I say transform, they look Oh, a really funny power that both the Golden Lad and Golden Girl have is that when they transform, they look identical to their normal selves, but no one recognizes them, even if you're in the room watching them transform. Like literally, like the mobsters and his grandfather. They're like, "Ah, oh, blinding colorful light. Where'd the kid go? Who are you?"
It's like
And the
Clark Kent
grandpa's
taking
like,
off his glasses.
"Yeah, but except but there's no change. It's just that he's wearing a cape now." And I incorporate that into Golden Girl story as well. When
That's
she
awesome.
transforms. I think it's hilarious.
That's awesome.
But so that would be fun. But indie comic wise, there's a dream crossover that I would love to have, where I would kind of want like a multiverse comic where all of the indie comics, where they have Latina creators and characters whose powers are tied to the cultural and mythological origins of Mesoamerica, kind of meet together. And I wish I had done NIGHTAXE a couple of years ago. I only came up with the idea like 7 months ago, maybe. But I know time is weird for me. In the fall, essentially. Um, but um, but I wish I'd come up with it sooner, because the best possible time to do a multiverse of Latino superheroes crossover would be the next several months. 2012, when everybody was like, the Maya say the world's going to end.
Yeah.
Well, they actually, I love this. There was a reporter who went down to Yucatan, or rather, sorry, went down to Yucatan. Went down to Yucatan and asked some modern day Maya people, hey, are you worried about 2012? And the response was, why? What happens to 2012? For the record, that year for the Maya people is the equivalent to the year 2000 for Christians. It's just an anniversary number. That's all it is. That's it. That being said, there is an end date that most cultures in Mesoamerica had. Basically, they had different calendars, and many of the cultures would have included in that a 52-year calendar that they believed if you did not have a proper ceremony every 52 years, the gods would destroy the world and create a new one. That's why there are famously multiple versions of the world created in Maya and Aztec and also Hopi and other religions, because these things weren't done. So the modern, I say modern, people of 500 years ago would do ceremonies every 52 years to prevent the universe from being destroyed. And the last time that a ceremony could have happened, and I think they actually did one in Mexico City, although you have to find pictures of it, was 1975. So what would be 52 years from
that? Would be 2008.
Would be next year.
Oh, okay.
So 52 years, yeah. So what's funny is that actually it's not technically that. I think the new year starts in October of this year, because it's not the same calendar. So technically it would be October. Now what that ceremony is, it's called the New Fire Ceremony. And what they would do is they'd have somebody, probably a volunteer, believe it or not. People do a lot of things for religion in every culture. Who they would take to a sacred area. I can't remember, ceremonial, that's what ceremonial altar, lay him down, rip out his beating heart. And in the cavity where it was, they would start a fire. And then they would collect that fire on torches and then run it out to the ends of the culture. And the idea is that everybody before that would blow out all their fires, because that's when the spirits are going to be able to get through. And if they do the new fire ceremony correctly, the universe gets to stay. And so I always wanted to do a giant crossover on the new fire ceremony, but there's no way I can make that happen in a few months. But still, I've talked to some people and I'm like, we should try for this, maybe.
Yeah,
it'd be fun. Also, let's hope the world doesn't get destroyed.
Someone specifically asked about Spawn, and if you think Spawn would fit in well in your character's universe.
I mean, in terms of powers-wise, yes. Spawn's powers are very much based on Christian mythology, whereas these guys' powers are more tied to other cultures' mythology, but I think that thematically that makes sense. In terms of personality, I think they probably get along more with, say, Savage Dragon or Hellboy. It's funny, I was telling people that NIGHTAXE is kind of like, what if Hellboy had even less initiative? But somebody else made the comparison that is the perfect comparison that no one would get the reference to. And they're like, oh, he's like concrete. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
he's concrete. And did anybody know who concrete is?
I remember you showed me. I remember you showed.
Yeah.
Told me about it, a little bit about him. He's
Yeah,
basically
he was.
like the Thing in a way, but
Yeah, he's a character from the '90s indie comics. Basically like the Thing, but there's not really superhero battles involved. He just happens to be a giant rock man. You
yeah,
know, that's just what he is. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably a better comparison. Now these guys do actually fight monsters and stuff and supervillains occasionally, but like they don't see themselves that way.
right.
You know, more like if they have to. Like, oh no, people are in danger. Okay, let's help out. Nobody's in danger. Okay.
I could see Batman working really well in your character's universe.
Funny you should say that. Golden Girl solo series, she needs to fight somebody.
Batman,
I mean, not Batman.
but a guy like him.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's great. So was he like a villain then in this universe, or
Um, well,
just a disagreeable hero?
he sees himself as a hero. Um, so spoilers for the small group. So how many people we got here, by the way? Out of curiosity.
There's 9 now, but we've had an upwards of 14 in here.
Nice. Well, spoilers then. So there's a character from the 40s, actually no, technically from 1939 specifically, who was called the Phantom of the Fair, spelled with an F, Phantom. Just go with it. And he's basically like Batman, but he had a full suit that was like full mask. It was fully covered. Instead of bat ears, his head came to a little square for some reason. And he essentially acted like Batman, although he did have powers. Like he could phase through walls, and he was super strong, and possibly immortal. It's the thing. But anyway, but what's interesting about his stories is that you could tell the person writing it really felt this guy was a good guy, but like in retrospect, like he literally goes to like fight union leaders because he believes they're all evil, and in one comic he literally defends a rich woman who owns a factory who literally happens. She has a bullwhip and she whips her employees.
Wow.
And they tell her you can't do that, and they try to attack her. And he goes to defend her, saying you shouldn't attack your boss. And I'm like, is he? No, apparently no. He means it all the way through. He helps colonizers in Africa. He see what else he did. He does a lot of these things. Where it's like, scientists develop literal war crime weapons. Destroy a dangerous species that has one member left. Like, and he's the hero.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's my Batman.
Someone asked another. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say real quick. So he's called the Phantom of the Fair because he was based out of the World's Fair, 1939. But San Antonio hosted the World's Fair, 1968. So he's just been staying there since '68.
My God, that's a long time.
Yeah.
This is another fun one for you, I think. If the comics got a video game, what would the video game try to represent most of the comics? And a double side to this question, if they got a movie, would it be animated? And if so, CGI, 2D, or Muppets type puppets, or live action, and why?
Video game. Oof. I have to think about that.
I feel like a fun, Arkham style game could work.
Yeah, I could see that, but I feel like that's a lot of action. I feel like even though these two can certainly fight a lot, I feel like it'd be more of one of those adventure ones where you're like meeting people and NPCs and trying to figure out what happened, and then you'd have a fight, Undertale kind of thing. You know what I mean? Where there are fights, but it's also more about like figuring out why things are happening. Maybe. I guess. In terms of movie, it'd be fun to see it live action. Mainly to just overemphasize how silly some of the stuff is, like her over-the-top costume, or his everything. Puppets are always fun, though. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Especially for the creatures.
Oh, yeah.
Like yeah. I wouldn't really. I mean, I could see it. Obviously, you look at Mickey's art style for that solo picture of NIGHTAXE by himself. That you said kind of reminded you of some other art styles.
Yeah.
I could see it animated. Certainly, it'd be fun. But I do think the jarringness of having this stuff that does not fit in reality, just being treated as if it was just part of reality, is more interesting if it was live action.
Yeah.
It's like, do you remember the cartoon Bonkers from the Disney Afternoon?
Bonkers, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, it was basically just, Roger Rabbit, but if he was a cop.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the premise is that Bonkers is a cartoon and he's working with a real human, and that's fine, except everybody's a cartoon, and it's like it doesn't have the same effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As seeing real people, and obviously I wouldn't expect them to do that in the cartoons airing in a TV series, but like, I think that the idea of just stuff that doesn't fit in reality being in reality is more interesting when you have live action, especially if you're going to treat it in some unusual way as opposed to just like, oh my god, it's a monster.
Yeah, and I think they would look really cool in live action, how the effects would work and all sorts of different kinds of things.
Yeah, I think so.
This is another really, I love these kinds of questions. I think it's so thought-provoking. What would a toy line look like? And then also, any fast food collabs, what restaurant would work best? I've thought of this question too. Like, for example, like I think like a Burger King collab with Par, where like they can get a purple bun and like, because they did it with Wednesday Addams. So I think that could be fun. I'm curious for you what you would like.
Actually, does Burger King still do the crown thing?
Like
because
like the crown you put on your head? Yeah. They just did one recently for Mandalorian and Grogu.
It'd be neat to do like a little paper heart,
Yeah,
that'd be cool. But as far it was the second part was fast food. What was the first part of it? So
Toy line, yes.
Toy line, I don't know. I guess NIGHTAXE is the interesting one. He'd probably have like a head that pops off, a little see-through, like a prong. I don't know what they call it, little plug there. The head. Probably switch him out for different expressions on his face.
That'd be
Ghost
fun.
Rider is always hard to do as a toy with the fire, though. It's always tricky.
Yeah.
But as far as fast food goes, I don't want to get into it, but that actually is part of the NIGHTAXE solo story. So.
Oh, really? Very cool.
Yeah. Using real-world San Antonio history. So.
Would these comics be more episodic or overarching?
Overarching in the sense that my goal for this, like when I did World War Comics, it is meant to be a complete story. So I did chapter 1 in 2024. 2 was supposed to come out in 2025, but again, I had personal issues that just I could not do any creating that year. Stuff that happened to my family. But for NIGHTAXE, I really want NIGHTAXE and Golden Girl to just be one-shots. Like there is an overarching. They learn more about their history, more about their powers, more about their role as heroes, because again, they don't see themselves as heroes, but sometimes you need that.
Yeah.
But there's no to be continued. Like there could be a reference like, oh, we need to do this, and the next issue they're doing that, but like it doesn't mean it's like needs to be the next issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like my goal is to have them like right now. In fact, what I originally was going to do is one 22-page story, and then maybe some other stuff later on. Then I was like, I'm biting off more than I can chew, but I want to do more now. So if you go down to extra stories there on the side,
extra stories.
You can see, toward down the bottom there, so variant covers and extra stories.
Extra stories.
Yeah, there we go. So that is by Mickey. He's doing the NIGHTAXE solo story. You can scroll down, I think. Do I have it there? Or I don't think I do yet. I'll put it, no. I'll do it. Oh, yeah, there we go. I have a little bit of this. There's a sketch drawing by James Figueredo, who's another friend of mine, for the Golden Girl solo story. That's just an early sketch. You just want to kind of get a feel for the character. And so technically there's 3 stories here that are not connected. They could be read in any order if you wanted to. But there's 3 stories. And the idea is that next time I do a comic, there won't be that many, but also it'll be a one-shot where stuff will happen. And they will connect in terms of thematically and personal growth and stuff, but not to be continued.
I love this style here. Mickey Ramirez. They're only doing the shorter, or have they done other art that we've seen already?
So he's got his own comic. He's got a graphic novel called Gargoyle, but he also has one called Mega Jaguar, which is a lot of fun. It's basically like, you know who Ultraman is from Japan?
Yes, Ultraman.
So basically Ultraman, but he's an Aztec Jaguar warrior. And so it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
And he is in talks. Well, he already said. I think he and I have talked about him being the artist for part 2, because the artist for part 1, Ray Garza, did a great job, but he also told me going in that it was going to be one issue only for him. In fact, Ray, he's done his own comics. This is the first time and only time he worked with somebody else's script. And he even told me before he started, I just want to see what it's like working with somebody else's script. So we did that issue. So Mickey is already talking to me about doing the second issue. So this art right here could be the second issue of World War Comics.
Someone is trying to piggyback off of a question that was asked earlier. I think this is a great question because I love thinking about this as well. Who would play the characters in live action? Have you thought of a cast yet?
I guarantee you I have. In my head, designing Golden Girl, I kept thinking, well, okay, first off, everybody who sees the drawings, who knows me, and yeah, says that she is my fiance, and even she says, "Oh, look, there's me," and that means the other one is you. So
that's funny.
Fun.
Okay.
But so every time there's NIGHTAXE drawing, she goes, "Oh, look how you look in this picture." I'm like, okay, it's fine. But anyway, in my head, I was thinking like, Lupita Nyong'o, but probably not. Now I think what's her name? Keke Palmer would be amazing for that part.
That would be, yeah. Keke Palmer's great.
But what would be ideal though? Now she's black. The ideal would be though to have an Afro Latina play her, which is why I kept thinking of Lupita Nyong'o, because Lupita, she's born in Mexico. She was raised in Mexico, you know. And people are like, well, yeah, but her parents are from Africa. Yeah, she's still Mexican, you know. And as for NIGHTAXE, like, I do have an origin for them, but again, she met him after his head exploded, so she's never seen him as a person. So really, it's just a voice. And I just, get a nice 20-something Latino actor, preferably Mexican, would be good,
yeah.
and you're done. You got it. Actually, like I say, you wouldn't have to be 20-something. You just have to have a voice that sounds like it comes out of whatever that is.
Yeah. So they could probably get what's his name? The kid who played Blue Beetle recently. What was his name?
Yeah.
Zolo.
Well, he'd be good, especially. Yeah, I could see him looking a lot like that before he transformed.
Yeah.
Which again, I do have an origin. I just haven't decided how to write it, or I'm not sure how to write it, whether or not to include it, because I kind of want to just make it, like I said, if it comes up, it may be a flashback. Like, hey, what happened to you guys? Well,
Yeah.
So we have that. But yeah, it's a neat idea. Who would have played them? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know celebrities a lot. My fiance does. She keeps track of them. She always tells me who's who in movies and things.
I feel like Hollywood would probably cast as the Shark, probably somebody like Dave Bautista or Vin Diesel or.
I would want Bobcat Goldthwait.
What is his most famous thing that he's done?
Police Academy.
Oh, Police Academy. Okay.
Honestly, until you said the Shark guy right now, I had never thought of who would play it. But now I'm like, yes, Bobcat.
Yeah.
If you ever watched Police Academy as a kid, or he's done other things too, obviously. He's a guy that goes, I'm gonna fast with his voice all the time.
Uh-huh.
Too much that I think like that persona he was used in other movies, and it's a lot of stress on him. But like somebody who could do stuff like that and just be a character.
Yeah.
Yeah, because physically, he's supposed to be a giant. Like he's supposed to like NIGHTAXE is 7 feet tall.
Uh-huh.
He's supposed to be a little bit bigger than NIGHTAXE.
Wow. Yeah.
But voice wise, just somebody who can do a really good monster voice. Like I said, I think of him like the very first appearance of Doomsday, where he's like, Metropolis, shoot man, like that kind of stuff.
Okay, almost like what's the Frankenstein hero in the recent James Gunn? Is that
Frankenstein?
Yeah. Well, there's a. Yeah, is that just what he goes? He just goes by Frankenstein.
You mean Creature Commandos?
Creature Commandos, yes. That
yeah. Is he just called Frankenstein? I know more Marvel and DC.
I think he might be. Yeah. So similar to that, probably.
Well, he has more of a dialogue, I think. There was somebody else I was thinking of though. Maybe the King Shark a little bit, but he talks more too as well. But there was somebody. Oh wait, no, wait, does. Shoot! I only watched the first couple episodes of Creature Commandos. I didn't remember. Does Frankenstein talk? I thought he did.
He does talk, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But King Shark talks less, and he was in the live action Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And there's another character I'm thinking of right now. I can't put my finger on it. You said Frankenstein, made me think of it, but then it kind of went away. But yeah. Basically, he talks less than Groot.
Okay. Even less than Groot. Okay, interesting.
Because Groot's at least saying those 3 words, clearly.
Yeah.
Even if they mean other things.
I agree, Salty Juice Water. I would also love to see a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collab with this project. I think it would work well.
Oh my God! I didn't think about that one. That would be amazing. Oh my God! I am upset that for all the crossovers the Turtles have done, they've never done a Daredevil crossover. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Have they ever done a Street Sharks crossover?
I don't know. There's a current there was a very recent Street Sharks comic book, which I think might be IDW. I'm not sure. So they could have a crossover.
They share a
now.
universe.
They didn't. No, they don't share a universe. But like the point is, people own the IPs and you could do it now.
I see.
But like in the 90s, it was different. So they wouldn't have had the crossover.
Yeah, because right now the big crossover thing is Godzilla. They're throwing Godzilla in everything. Everything. I don't know. Now
that would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun to have him in there. Because again, these two technically have powers of that caliber. They just don't really try. And if you had Godzilla show up, you'd have to push yourself to Superman levels, and he'd have to be Hulk levels, basically.
Someone said, would Mr. Garcia co-direct the movie based on his comics, similar to Sin City Frank Miller, or would he want to direct his film, or who would he want to direct his film? Also, yeah, and he says also TV show, movie, or film feature. What would a cartoon TV show look like?
Cartoon TV show, I don't know. I guess Mickey's drawings of the more cartoon-looking NIGHTAXE kind of gives an idea of that. Same thing with James's drawings of Golden Girl.
I always imagined a BTAS kind of vibe with it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. That kind of style. Yeah, Batman, really, you got that Bruce Timm and Paul Dini stuff. But co-directed? No, I wouldn't. Like there's always that part of me that's like, oh, I could, but no, I don't know. That's not my wheelhouse. In fact, I thought about that in the sense that, like the World's War comics, when I mentioned, it's supposed to be a story where there's like chapters of the story. This one is intentionally one-shots. So the idea is kind of like Hellboy. If you made a movie out of it, you can take bits and pieces from different stories and make a movie out of it. You know what I mean? Like, you want to do the origin? Do the origin. You want to just focus on specific aspects of like what that fire means, then do that. You know, I feel like I'm purposely making it so it lends itself that way. So like they could have stories with monsters, they could have stories with ghosts and gods, they could have stories with superheroes, and they could have stories with normal people. You know, and it all just depends on that particular story. So like for a movie version of it, like I think of Hellboy, I could use an example. There's a great scene, I think it's the second Hellboy movie, where maybe it's the first one, where he's got a corpse that he digs up, and the corpse talks a little bit. In the comics, that was a whole little short story. That was it. It was just him and the corpse in the short story. But in the movie, it's just a scene because it's a cool visual, you know. And then whereas Hellboy's origin is in the comics, but it's really just kind of like it happened anyway. So now here's what's going on. But for the first movie, it was like the whole movie, you know. So you know, you can do that. As far as who to direct it, I kind of laughed too. So I mentioned earlier in this conversation that I was a reporter before I was a high school teacher, and when I was a young reporter, I interviewed Guillermo del Toro. This was right before Hellboy 1 came out. I knew him from his Mexican films, and of course I knew Hellboy because I'm a comic book guy. And so I reached out to him. We kept missing each other, doing like this like phone tag. We kept missing. I found basically it was a lot easier for me to find people's numbers before.
Yeah.
But I found his agent. His agent gave me his number, and I went off with that, right? Now agents are hard to get hold of for some reason. I do think agents should be easy to get. Whatever. Anyway, so finally we're talking for a very brief second. He's like, "Well, I'll be in Austin tomorrow," but I said, "You know what?" Or no, he said, "Tonight. I'll be in Austin tonight." I said, "You know what? Don't worry about it. I'll meet you there." So I told my editor, "Hey, I'm gonna go to Austin for an interview. I'll be back." I was a reporter in Brownsville, Texas. It's the very tip of Texas. She's like, "That's 5-6 hours away." And I go, "Yeah, I know. I'll be back tomorrow." So I jumped in my car, drove out, and I got here. I live in Austin now. And he's like, "Well, I'm in my hotel room. Come on up." I went to the hotel room, and it was him and Ron Perlman in their pajamas.
Nice.
And so I did the interview there, and while I was there, I asked him. I said, "Hellboy, is this great? Like visually, it makes so much sense for your style, and it really does." Because Mike Mignola's art, and then, by the way, Guillermo Toro's art is amazing too. If you ever see his sketches, very similar. And so it meshes really well. And I said, "Would you ever do like another comic book? Maybe Savage Dragon at the time was very much like a Jack Kirby style comic. Now it's more like Jack Kirby if he did a bunch of acid. But anyway, I still like it. And he's like, "No, I wouldn't do it because I don't want to be just that comic book guy." Of course, now he's in a lot of other movies. He's not a comic book guy anymore, so he would never do it. But it'd be fun. Also, Cuarón, the director of Gravity,
Sorry.
Agreed. His son is also a director. I can't remember his name right now. But he made a movie that premiered at South by Southwest this year in Austin, and I cried watching that movie. It's not a movie you're supposed to cry at, but I did anyway. I'll tell you why in a second. and it has not been picked up yet. No one has talked about it yet, and I'm really upset that that there's no traction on it. But it needs to be seen. It's called Campeon Gacha, and it's basically Mexican Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
and it is so odd because he's a migrant. He comes across without papers, and he's just constantly being put into fights that are basically like Superman level cartoony fights. Why? Just cause, you know. It's got a fantastic reality to it. Like there's no, you look it up online, you're only going to find like maybe one poster. There's really not much there right now, but it's so good. And I keep trying to set up the interview. The director said he'd do an interview with me. Contacted his agent. His agent sent me to somebody else, and he hasn't responded yet. So I need to reach out again. But that'd be cool to have that kind of a director too.
Someone asked, this is another fun one. Would the characters be in Fortnite?
You know what's funny
Huh.
is that normally I would say no, people should stop doing that. But these two characters would agree to it.
Yeah.
Because again, they're just chill, normal people. Like they'd rather stay at home and play video games together.
Yeah.
I joke that they're not superheroes. He is an Uber driver, and she works from home. You know, that's what they do. And then when they're relaxing, they go on dates, play video games, watch movies, and that's it. And so if a video game company reached out to them, "Can we put you in our game?" They'd be like, "Yes." And they found out later it was really dumb. And they're like, "Oh, we shouldn't have done that. We already signed up. All right, whatever."
Yeah. That is.
So yes, I think they would agree to be Fortnite.
Well, it looks like we've run out of questions, and we are at the 2-hour mark.
It's been a bit, yeah.
Yeah, I did.
I can talk. I can talk.
No, we love it. I did want to direct everybody once again to the Kickstarter. I've shared it quite a couple of times in the chat throughout this call, but I did share it once again just recently in both the Twitch and YouTube chats. Everyone feel free to check it out. It's going to be awesome. It's already looking like a fifth of the way there. And we really need y'all's help to push this and make it a reality. NIGHTAXE and Golden Girl needs your help.
You can search it on Kickstarter just by searching the word NIGHTAXE, or you can just type in nightaxe.com.
Someone said, thanks for sharing the Kickstarter. I hope it becomes a success.
Me too.
As do I. But do you have any final comments, Kevin, before we end off?
Well, I'm working on a post right now, and you don't have to be a backer to read the updates. I'm working on a post right now where I'm going to be, as somebody was asking earlier about who my favorite like artists are and stuff. My post right now is going to be in the update section about other Kickstarters that you should check out. Some of them by Latino creators, some of them by Black creators, some of them just cool indie comics you need to see. They're all indies, and they're all like things that I think need support, or maybe they've already made their goal but could still be supported, you know?
Yeah.
So I'll be posting that soon. There's other people to check out. You can find me also kevingarcia.com, and also I am a regular host of My Primos podcast on all the podcast places, where we look at pop culture from a Latino perspective. We have guests, or we just talk pop culture, or we occasionally do a Dungeons and Dragons game where I play an orc bard.
Ooh, I love a little bit of D&D. D&D's a lot of fun. But all right, guys, thanks so much for everyone for tuning in, and thanks so much to everyone for checking out the Kickstarter. And Kevin, thank you so much for hopping on and joining on with us today. And yeah, all right, guys, we'll see everyone in the next stream. See you guys.